On this episode of SmackDown, stuff happened, I guess. It was so boring, man, I don't even know how to make an entertaining intro. So let's talk about the Great Khali selfies of all time. This is basically a collection of some of my favorite Great Khali selfies I've seen. I love this one, I love that one, I love this one so much. This guy is pure charisma. And this one speaks volumes. Now that I warmed you up, now that you are entertained, let's talk about SmackDown.
Yes!
Welcome everybody to a brand new episode of Greatness of SmackDown. Like I've said, it was basically a filler show, but there's one thing that I want to talk about, and that is Otis, one of the most controversial Money in the Bank holders of all time, if not the most controversial one, because unlike every other Money in the Bank holder or Mr. Money in the Bank, this one doesn't feel real. And don't get me wrong, people, I think he's very entertaining, especially right now. It almost looks real, you kinda feel sorry for the dude in a weird way. You kinda sympathize with the guy. But it's also almost obvious that he's not going to be a World Heavyweight Champion, Universal Champion, WWE Champion, WWE World Champion, whatever the case may be, man, it doesn't feel real. Now, there is a possibility that he may cash in for the Tag Team Championships. Oh boy, no. Please no, don't do that. Don't do that to the Money in the Bank briefcase. Never. It's supposed to be for the World Championship and the World Championship. That is it. Please don't do that. But on this week's SmackDown, he was teasing a cash-in for the World Championship, which is the Universal Championship of SmackDown. So, he is going to cash in for the world title. The obvious scenario is him either losing, or, I think a better idea is Otis losing the briefcase to someone else. And I say a perfect scenario is him losing the briefcase to Dolph Ziggler. In the middle of the match, we get a kick to the cojones. And Dolph Ziggler hits a super kick. 1, 2, 3. Dolph Ziggler wins the championship with Mandy Rose's help. That is a perfect scenario. Heartbreaking. A lot of emotion. I feel like that's perfect, unless you don't want Otis to lose the briefcase, which I would be fine with as well. If you build a guy, he should be the world champion, why not? One thing's for sure, man, I'm very interested in this storyline, I guess, because it's very unpredictable. But people, let's talk about SmackDown, a very boring show, but let's start from the beginning. The show kicks off with Miz TV. The Miz and John Morrison are in the ring. They welcome us to Miz TV, but we got Otis entrance music. He interrupted Miz and Morrison. He wasn't even invited yet, but he doesn't care. And this was actually a pretty cool, segment. They were kinda bullying Otis in a way, making fun of him, kinda being passive aggressive, Turns out he's carrying a lot of meat in that briefcase. And he's just a good guy, so he doesn't even understand that he's being made fun of. They showed a bunch of pictures of him. He was a very big, giant kid. But then the Miz had enough. He got angry because he's kinda jealous, you didn't even have to climb the ladder. What kind of Mr. Money in the Bank are you? He called him a human version of Shrek. Anyway, a pretty cool segment, and the payoff was a tag team match invitation. Miz and Morrison want a tag team match, but Otis doesn't have a partner since Tucker is not there, so he had to find one. I know a lot of people don't like Otis. I think he's pretty cool, man. A lot of potential with the character. He's funny. He's legit funny. And I cannot really dislike the guy because, he's entertaining. At first, when I saw Heavy Machinery, I was like, what the hell is this? And people in the comments told me, if you haven't seen NXT, you'll get it. You'll get it. And now I do. It almost feels like he's not playing a character. People, Sami Zayn had to relinquish his Intercontinental Championship, so now we are getting a tournament, which is something I'm pretty excited for. And by the way, AJ Styles is from Monday Night Raw, and he is going to be in that tournament as well. I'm not the biggest fan of this brand-to-brand invitation thing, but like I've said in my Monday Night Raw review, since we're in this situation where when there's no crowd, not a lot of superstars, the roster is pretty limited, I'm okay with it. As long as they're treating it like a big deal. Like, Charlotte Flair being on SmackDown was a big deal. It wasn't, but they were pretending that it's a big deal. King Corbin being on Raw is going to be a big deal. I'm excited for this tournament because I really hope we're going to see Jeff Hardy versus AJ Styles in the finals. That is an absolute dream match. The first match, however, was Elias versus King Corbin, something we've seen for almost 3,000 times right now. Actually 3,002, I counted. Yeah man, it wasn't a bad match actually. It was actually pretty entertaining, but you know, how many of these matches are we going to watch? The highlight was Corbin breaking a guitar, which made Elias very angry, and he actually picked up the W barely, but Elias won the match, which is something that really shocked me. My wife is such a mark right now. She's like, King Corbin is going to win because, you know, he's going to face Drew McIntyre, and I was like, okay, that actually makes a lot of sense. That is right. But surprisingly, that didn't happen. It's weird, like I've said, you know, he's going to face Drew McIntyre, so it almost looked obvious, but Elias picked up the W, which is cool. Otis wants Sheamus to be his tag team partner, but Sheamus declines. He doesn't want to be his partner. I don't know why. He then meets Mandy Rose, and he says he's not doing good. Mandy Rose suggests he asked Braun Strowman because he is the Universal Champion. The hacker is watching the WWE Network. Apparently there's a big storyline that WWE cancelled or delayed because of this thing that's going on. And maybe this hacker is going to be a lot more interesting than Ali. We'll see. Hopefully it is, because they're teasing it way too long and it almost feels like they're just waiting for a crowd. Then he meets Braun Strowman, and Braun Strowman says, I know that game. You wanna cash in? You wanna cash in on these hands, man? I'm happy you did this. You're brave. I'ma think about it. Now, let me allow to play with my hands. So at this point, you knew that it is going to be Braun Strowman, pretty obvious. We got Naomi versus Dana Brooke. Now, of course, not something I really want to see, but, you know, I was surprised because Dana Brooke won the match. What is happening right here? I don't understand what they're doing with Naomi, to be quite honest with you. Ever since she came back, it almost felt like she's going to be this big deal, you know, go for the women's championship, but now it's just nothing. People, we got Charlotte Flair. Wow, this is awesome. I'm the hardest working woman in the business. Why am I here on SmackDown? It's because Fox knows what the fans want. I'm on Raw, NXT, SmackDown. Oh boy, just shut up. Why is it that every Charlotte Flair promo is absolutely the same? Oh, I'm so tired of this. The point of this segment was to set up a match. We got Bayley, Sasha Banks. Banks looks bothered because she wasn't treated like a big deal since she's not a champion. And we're getting a champion versus champion match in the future. I mean, it was fine, but I'm not gonna go, oh my god, it was 4 horsewomen. Oh. Mark will do the job. He will go nuts. Then we got Daniel Bryan versus Drew Gulak in another tournament match. And oh boy, was it fun. Man, these two, it looks obvious that they're having so much fun. So many reversals, variations, chain wrestling, all that kind of stuff. Very technical yet very fun match between these two. It looks so old school yet so new at the same time. Just some cool wrestling. But Daniel Bryan won when Drew Gulak tapped out. After the match, Daniel Bryan cut a decent promo saying that he always wanted to win the Intercontinental Championship. He had to relinquish the title, so now he cannot wait to get the championship back, and he will make sure that the title is going to mean something because he's going to defend it every week. And in a way, maybe Daniel Bryan should go to the finals. I don't know. Looks pretty interesting. And I cannot wait to see him getting the championship back. He shook hands with Drew Gulak and all is good. The thing is, not really related to this Daniel Bryan stuff, but I don't really like the Intercontinental Championship. I don't know what it is about that championship. Sometimes it looks good with the proper lighting, but to me it looks like a Cruiserweight Championship, a modified Cruiserweight title, and I really want the old Intercontinental Championship back. Either the white one or the Ruthless Aggression era one that actually came during the Attitude era. You know, the blue one, the blue world, it looked pretty cool. This one is just not doing it for me. It lacks color, you know, and I know many people like it. I still cannot get behind it somehow. I kinda dig this Dolph Ziggler and Sonya Deville alliance. Next week we're getting a mixed tag team match, and maybe the story is going to progress a little bit more. And of course in the main event we got The Miz and John Morrison versus Otis and Braun Strowman. Wasn't a bad match, you know, pretty fun. You know, it was your typical a tag team match on Raw or SmackDown. But anytime I can see John Morrison in the ring, I'm very happy. This guy is unbelievable. Now, obviously, Braun Strowman and Otis won. We got them celebrating. We got Mandy Rose, and she was, I guess, trying to distract Braun Strowman. Otis wanted to cash in, but then he said, I'm joking, and all is good. Whether he was joking or not, I'm not quite sure, but hopefully he is sure that he is going to go for the World Championship and not a mid-card title or not a tag team titles, please. So here you go, people. That is your SmackDown. I don't see Otis cashing in on Braun Strowman. That is definitely not going to happen. But we'll see where it goes. In a way, I'm kinda happy that WWE didn't go with the obvious choice, Aleister Black or King Corbin. So, I cannot wait to see what is going to develop out of this. But thank you for watching the video. If you want to support the channel, make sure to click that like button. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Really appreciate your Patreon support. The Great One, peace, love, and hugs. It's been a pleasure.